Now, my question is, why are you here? Why did you actually come tonight to listen about leadership? Why are we so interested in wanting to become leaders? What is it about leadership that inspires us, that we want to have it? Now, I thought about this driving all the way up here, and I literally came down to one answer. We want success. As human beings, we want success. Now, the question becomes, whose success? And this is what I'm going to talk about tonight. Because I've found in my career, about 20 odd years, I found there to be two types of leaders. One is the leader I would call the Trump leader. The Trump leader looks at success as being my success. It is about me. Now there's a second type of leader. That's the Obama leader. The Obama leader, for success for Obama, it's about we. It's our success. Now, you may know the effect of the I. The leader who works from I looks around the world and says, people need to cheer me on. They need to look at me and say, I'm a great leader. I am now driving in my big, grand car, in my big house, and I make the decisions, and people will look up to me. That is the Trumpian leader. Now, the Obama leader looks differently at the world. They are not looking towards they are looking towards how can I drive others to be successful? How can I not be cheered on, but how can I cheer others on? How can I look at the world and its people and make them better for them, not for me? Now, all of a sudden you start to ask yourself the question, where do these leaders come from? What is motivating them? The leader from I is motivated by one thing. It's fear. The leader who works from I thinks about me. It is my insecurity, and it is me who is basically looking at the world and wanting others to take away that insecurity by telling how great I am, by seeing the car I drive, by basically saying, thank you for making those decisions, leader, you are such a great leader. The motivation is fear. The leader who works from we is motivated by, as corny as it sounds, love. The motivation from a person who looks from a we perspective looks at others and says, I operate from love, not from fear. Now let's look at the effects of what happens if you operate from fear, from the I. You look at an organization and you start to press down. You start to press down and you start to say, you are not allowed to say something because I'm the boss. You may not make a decision because I make the decisions. I look around the world and I see my organization and I say, I run this organization. The effects you may actually recognize. The effects will be that people are not really motivated because they really want to do something. They actually do something because they have to. They do something out of fear because that person's insecurity and fear is now rubbing down through the organization. So many people now are basically doing what they need to do because they must. They are trying to avoid punishment for dear life because the boss may punish and may control because that person has fear as well. When people have fear, there is an effect. I become anxious and I do not want change. I'm going to hold on to what I know and avoid the things I don't know. Now let's look at the Obama leader and the effects of the Obama leader. That person will look at the organization and say, what do you think? What's your opinion? How can we work together as partners, as a team, as we. As a group of people where success is not mine, it is shared amongst each other. That is from a perspective of love. What happens to those people who are in the organization? They are now motivated not from fear. They do because they want to. They do because they now look at the world and say, how can I help? How can I help others? Now, this is important for you if you want to understand leadership. Where are the origins of these leaders types coming from? Well, we can talk about neurology and biology and all that type of good stuff. Let's talk about something else, the environment. The environment in which we are born, in which we grow up. The environment that tells us who we are and what we can and cannot do. In societies where we are brought up, where the teacher tells us, you're not allowed to speak unless I say so. In societies where we grow up, where the parents say, you are just a child, and you need to do something to actually be someone. A child will grow up with the idea that I can only do something once I reach some kind of position in society. Only then can I actually make decisions. Only then am I allowed to actually open my mouth and actually say something. It is an environment that creates an idea that leaders are only those people saying at the top, and the way that they actually deal with others is by pressing down. Now, there are, of course, other societies and other environments that look at leadership. These are the environments like, for example, Finland, where children do not even get exams, and they come late. They are allowed to play. They can leave the class whenever they want. They have control over their own life. It is not that other people are controlling them. They are now creating a story about themselves that I can, without having to ask somebody else for permission to do so. There is no fear in societies like this because people believe they can without permission, so they do. Now, leadership, I believe, is coming to a realization that the stories about who we are and what we can and cannot do are false. They are illusions. They are very simple illusions from society telling us what we are allowed to do because of who we are. If you are here, you are a child, you're not allowed to do something. If you're there, you can. Those are stories. They're not true. Leadership comes from an awakening that says, I am not what I do. I am not what I have in this role, that what the role allows me to do. Leadership comes from exactly what was just said about 2 minutes ago. Leadership comes from a realization that I can, irrespective of whatever role I have in society, whatever skin color I have, whatever family name I have, whatever part of our beautiful country we grew up in, has nothing to do with what we can and cannot do. My challenge to you is to think about leadership in a different way, to look at yourself and ask yourself one question: who am I? Am I the stories that people have told me about what I can and cannot do? Or am I someone who can do anything despite the stories and lead from wherever I am? If I'm 5 years old, 10 years old, 50 years old, 80 years old, I can. I believe changing our beautiful country of Suriname means coming to an awakening about who we really are, outside of 400 years of indoctrination about what we can't do, because we can. So I really look forward to seeing you lead from wherever you are, wherever you are, at home, in society, in sports, to lead others to think about the we, to not act from I, but to act from we and act out of love. As corny as it sounds, it is really true. I wish you have a beautiful rest of the evening, and thank you for your time.